Chapter 9. Fuku, Special Training. Sena woke up to find Envy crying out for help. What? What is going on? Good morning, Sena, Fuku-chan. Please go to the cafeteria, this is going to get noisy. Hakurin and the others smiled, pushing Sena and Fuku out the door. Wait, but what about Envy? Oh, that. Kariko found it lurking on the outside wall with special equipment. This is going to get ugly. We decided that Envy is a hindrance to your mission and are taking it away for a while. You can get the detailed explanation from Kariko later when you're on the Kamadic. Please go about your morning as usual. Jaikurin whispered and smiled softly. Okay, I understand. Good morning, a receptionist greeted Sena. Please go ahead. Sena was ushered towards the transfer gate. He didn't know it, but almost all of the apartment's residents were assigned as his guards. They were dedicated to him. Fuku jumped off Sena and then stepped onto the biometric plate. The gate started to react. Fuku was a biological key for transferring to the Kamadic. However, if Fuku and the main ship were perfectly in sync, Fuku herself could act as the gate, but for now they had to use an external gate. Sena, who was transferred to the Kamadic bridge, headed for his seat. When no one is here, it feels quite strange. After putting Fuku on the table, Sena looked around. Captain, I'm sorry for the noise this morning. No, that's fine, but I thought about consulting you on this in advance, but because Fuku's emotional condition is unstable, I decided that I shouldn't talk about our work at home. I didn't want that kind of psychological state witnessed by Fuku. Sena noticed Fuku looking at him uneasily. It's all right, Fuku. Sena told Fuku with a bright look. In fact, we're thinking of making a full-scale subsystem for Kamadics. We need full access to the systems for that, so we didn't want to put any unnecessary stress on Fuku. Fine. You can go ahead and do it. Good, then let's start. Kamadic, launch. The ship launched out into space. Captain, would you go collect the monitoring equipment? Oh, sure. Okay, here they are. Please pick this up. A small container floated about 1 kilometer in front of the Kamadic. They took it on board. Mia? While Fuku was covered with a helmet-like sensor on her head, she looked up at Kariko and cried anxiously. Fuku, hold on. Just wear it for a bit longer, okay? We're almost done. Signal recognition check. Sensitivity is good. I was a bit worried, but this is going much better than I expected. Irma, who was fixing a repeater to the center of the table, looked at Kariko and replied, Mia, I know you want us to take it off, but you're going to have to wait. Sorry, but we need it to record some things. If it makes you feel any better, there will be no battles with space pirates today. Mia? Don't worry. Kariko smiled and rubbed Fuku's lower jaw with her index finger. Captain, I'm going to start the simulated combat starting with the flight test. We will be using the Academy's experimental planetary dome. So we're not going into outer space? We don't want to risk encountering actual pirates. Kariko said with a wry smile. Oh, I see. The interior is a highly compressed space. It's a space about the size of a solar system. Although we can only rent it for 12 consecutive hours, it also has a built-in acceleration space, so internally we have about 100 hours or 4 days to operate. That should be enough testing for the data we need, but we will need to keep a tight schedule. We have to only break when Fuku needs rest. Okay, then. Fuku, let's do our best. Mia. Construction value of the control nerve has exceeded 30. Okay, let's quit the program. Kariko said. After processing the collected data, Kariko headed towards Fuku and removed the equipment from her. Mayan. Fuku felt free and frolicked about like an animal shaking water off of itself. Good work, Fuku-chan. Today's work is over. Kariko lifted Fuku and walked over to Sena. Mayan. Fuku joyfully jumped on Sena's knees. Well done, Fuku. Mia. Captain, I'll be carrying out the verification experiment in an hour, so I'll need Fuku taken care of. Understood. Sena hugged Fuku close and took her to the transfer gate. Sena had a meal made for them, and he and Fuku went back to the mansion where he had stayed with Neiju, which was now his private residence, where they ate dinner. Afterwards, they played and then took a bath and Fuku got sleepy. He took her to a room she hadn't been in before. Fuku, I'll be back in around 3 hours. Till then you will have to wait here alone. While gently stroking Fuku, who was half asleep, Seina's expression was a bit cloudy. That was because he was basically locking Fuku in this room. The equipment installed in this room was a shield generator which completely separated Fuku and the ship, and it was necessary to block the influence of Fuku from interfering with the verification experiment. Of course, they could have frozen time on Fuku, but Seina decided not to, even though being in that situation might upset her. I'll be back. Seina confirmed that Fuku went to sleep, then softly activated the machine and went out of the room. Originally, Fuku thought that he went to go study behind his privacy wall as usual, but she soon realized he had gone somewhere else when she heard him step towards the entrance. Mia? Her anxiety grew when the house's door opened and shut. She jumped out of her small bed. Mia. However, Fuku was blocked by the shield and was repelled backwards. She tried again and again, but it wouldn't budge. She even tried scratching it with her claws, but it was in vain. Mia. And then Fuku realized that she couldn't access her ship body. Mia. Fuku eventually got back in bed and shuddered. Fuku, who kept her eyes closed with anxiety and fear, noticed the faint smell of Seina. It was from a towel that he had wrapped Fuku in a while ago. Fuku desperately sniffed the scent of Seina and curled up with the towel. The warmth and softness wrapped her body, and the scent of Seina calmed her. Mia. Fuku fell into a shallow sleep. I am sorry, I know I'm late. Seina breathed out as he came onto the bridge. He had taken about 30 minutes longer than expected. I have just finished organizing the data. Did everything go all right with Fuku-chan? Yes, she slept well. Kuriko, we have access to the ship's surveillance system. Fuku's bedroom feed is coming on screen. Irma projected the image of the bedroom where Fuku was sleeping on a large screen. There was the figure of Fuku wrapped in a towel there. She seems to be doing okay. Of course, they hadn't seen her earlier panic attack. Good, I'll begin the verification experiment. Everyone who was there smiled as if relieved. The next morning Fuku woke up and found Seina next to her. Fuku almost jumped reflexively with joy, but she realized it would wake up Seina, so she suppressed her urge to jump. Her tail, however, was wagging uncontrollably. About 20 minutes later, Seina began waking up. Wah! Seina yawned and stretched. At that moment, Fuku, who couldn't stand it any longer, rushed to Seina as if she was flying. Mia. Fuku clung to Seina's face and began to cry. Ah! Fuku? That hurts. Get off. Seina, accustomed to sudden trouble, quickly hugged Fuku and grasped her and slowly put her down. When Fuku was put on the ground, her nails finally retracted. Mia. Meow. Fuku, what's wrong with you? Me. From Fuku's eyes, tears were falling. Oh, you were just lonely. I'm sorry I had to leave you alone. But to verify the data we got, we have to isolate the ship from you, and I needed to be there in case there was an emergency. Seina explained as he wiped Fuku's eyes with his sleepwear. Fuku nodded. Although she didn't understand the content of what was going on, she understood that last night's thing was necessary for Seina. Because you slept well yesterday, I didn't wake you up, but I'll wake you up when I return home tonight. Mia. All right, I'm off. Be good. Seina gave Fuku a hug and started to take her to the living room when she jumped out of his arms. What's wrong? Fuku got her towel and came back. Oh, is that your security blanket? Mia. Okay, then why don't we bring it with us? They headed to the living room. Kuriko came in as soon as they got there. Good morning, Seina-chan, Fuku-chan. How's her physical condition? Kuriko, who approached Seina, gently stroked Fuku's head. Mia. Oh, what's with the towel? I think it's her security blanket. Oh, I see. That brings me back. Kai had one. Kuriko smiled nostalgically. She seemed pretty upset to be left alone. Yes, I can see. But she will just have to get used to it little by little. Mia. Good girl, breakfast will be ready soon. Kuriko took her hand off of Fuku and went to the kitchen. Irma and Amain greeted Fuku. Mia. Meow, Fuku was in a good mood again. Today we will gather data focusing on the fire control systems. Like yesterday, they took Fuku out around a course, but there were shooting targets. They asked her to target them, but she was scared at first until Sena assured her they were harmless, and she realized it was like a game and she began targeting them. About an hour later, Fuku was exhausted. Tired already? Let's end this. There's no point in continuing if she's exhausted. Okay, fine. Amain seemed upset by this. Okay, then Fuku, let's go home. Sena got Fuku's favorite towel and Fuku and headed to the transfer gate. Kuriko, who confirmed that Sena was gone, sighed a small sigh. How do they expect us to get anything done when she tires so easily? It was kind of cruel of them to not build us a subsystem to begin with. Fuku-chan is still a baby. It's a good thing you had the idea to make one a main. Well, let's finish organizing and incorporating the data we got before the captain comes back. I'm hungry. I can't do anything if I'm tired. Let's eat first. Sena went to the residential area, breathed a deep breath of the dense grass and the smell of water. Fuku did too. She seemed to be enjoying it. Maya. Shall we take a walk? Mia. Fuku looked happy at the idea and shook her tail. There were 4 transfer gates around the circular pond, but the one he used most of the time was the gate that was closest to his house, and he had almost never been to the other places. Of course, there were 4 large-sized residential districts, which were quite large that he hadn't explored. The area he went to was meant to be built up by the staff living there in the future. Only a small number of trees had been planted. Nonetheless, the trees that covered the sky like a cage were splendid. Combined with the various styles of houses around the area, there was some amazing scenery. Sena felt the urge to lie down on the soft grass under his feet. He took off his shoes and felt it was softer than he imagined. Haha. Sena lay down to form a large T on the grass. Doesn't it feel good, Fuku? Mia. Is that so? I'm glad. He pet Fuku. Mia. She relaxed. Fuku. I know this is hard for you, but Kuriko is just being strict so we can get this done quickly. Mia. Fuku was absorbed being petted. Haha, you're not even listening, are you? After a while, Sena got up. Well, shall we go home soon? Mia? Maya. Fuku seemed sad. She knew as soon as she got home, she would be left alone, so she was hesitant and seemed sad. All right, let's get going. Sena wrapped Fuku in her favorite towel and picked her up. He hugged her firmly to his chest and took her home. Stay here, Fuku, I'll be back. Like the day before, Sena, who had eaten and bathed, set up the bedroom shield and headed to Kamidake's bridge. Meow. Meow. Fuku cried sadly until she could no longer hear Sena's footsteps. She jumped into the bed and wrapped herself in her favorite towel. It smelled more like Sena than yesterday. Maya, when Fuku closed her eyes, she was desperate to smell the presence of Sena there. Fuku, who began sucking and chewing on the towel that gave her a sense of security as it wrapped around her, and soon, she fell asleep. 3 hours later, Fuku was awakened by Sena, who came back. With tears in her eyes, she hugged him. She woke up the next morning in a good mood. When Sena and Fuku went to the living room, Kuriko and the others were there, and they had breakfast laid out. Sena, Amain will clean up. Please go ahead and go to the bridge. Kuriko said to Sena after the meal. But what will I do without everyone else there? I want to clean up the whole house. Doesn't this house have auto maintenance? Most of the house maintenance was done by micro machines and nano machines. I just want to tidy it up. Machines can't do that. Really? Sena looked around. It's a hobby of hers. When it comes to domestic matters, she's a perfectionist. Amain said. Okay, fine. Sena realized it was a stress relief thing for her. He headed for the bridge. Well now, where to begin? Kuriko, who sent Sena off, looked around the living room with a happy face. However, there, Kuriko looked around and as expected she found a small dust pool. Probably due to Sena's bad luck. Slight things could cause Sena to be in danger, things on the floor, food not thrown away, improperly moved furniture, carpets, and Sena couldn't even consider cleaning things up without getting hurt. But for the most part lately the biggest problem was Fuku being right under his footsteps. Still, This is Washasama's work. It's far less dusty than I thought. While fine-tuning the system, Kariko noticed Fuku's favorite towel was placed on Fuku's bed. When she picked up the towel, she noticed that it was pretty dirty. Fuku had dragged the towel with her in the park the day before. I should take it to the bridge, but the grass stain compelled her. The impulse to wash it was strong. But what settled it was, what is this? The edge of the thing was frayed from being chewed on. She realized that Fuku had been sucking on the towel. No, Fuku-chan. Kariko hesitated no more. Young Fuku couldn't be putting such a filthy thing in her mouth. She couldn't forgive herself if she gave such a thing to her. Kariko threw the towel into a completely sterilizing advanced cleaning system. Mia. Fuku looked uneasy, roaming around on the table with a restless feel. What? What's wrong? I seem to have forgotten her favorite towel. Fuku, it's okay. It's just a test today, so don't be afraid. Mia. I'll get you your towel after work is finished. That said, Seina hugged Fuku for a while. Then Fuku wagged her tail. Mia. For Fuku, the towel was only a substitute for Seina. And in the past few days, she had learned not to be scared of the test. Okay, then let's get ready. Mia. Seina placed Fuku on the table and began hooking her up to the equipment. Seina is going to be a good father. That's true. Amain and Irma blushed and whispered to each other. A few minutes later, Kariko came to the bridge. She was relieved looking at Fuku, who was sitting calmly on the table. Let's get started. By the way, at that time at Amain's house something was going on. NV was coming back online. It was in a time freeze, but even if it was called a time freeze, it was actually just very slowed down. It was impossible to make localized time come to a complete stop. Eri activated an anti-freeze field and thawed NV out. Those harpies. How could they do this to NV? NV shouted in the living room as it moved out of the field. Oh look, the demon's been resurrected. That was unexpectedly quick, but it was just as you expected. Hakurin and her team were having a tea party in the living room. They all glanced at NV. Hi there, girls. You didn't see anything, okay? It's amazing. It's managed to escape even when time was frozen. Sure. Amazing. Ugh. Hey, what do you think you are doing? Demon Queen Eri was yelling in the president's office. Mikami was watching. Oh, ho. Suddenly Eri raised her face and glared at Mikami. What are you doing here this early in the morning? Did you come here just to watch me? It was quite entertaining, ho.